Happy New Year, everybody. 2026 is here, and we are going to start off the new year with a new data show, a new intro, and then we're going to talk about taxes. Because now that the holidays are over, taxes are going to come into play. Everyone's going to be getting their 1099s or W 2s, but we're going to see where exactly that money goes and how much we're talking about today on the Data Show. Well, here we are at the Data Show, and I would like to introduce the new intro to the Data Show. And this music was performed originally. It's an original composed feature and performed by Mario Sattoni. A beautiful, beautiful guitar, and it's a nice calming influence when we talk about data, we talk about data, and we talk about all the things that go along with that. I think it's a way to set the mood for the show. Because what we want to do is we want to answer questions. And those questions are extremely important because good questions are what we're trying to do, right? Good, solid questions. So if we have good questions, then we can sit down and we can figure out exactly where those answers are. And today's question is we're about to go into taxes. Income tax season has started. We're about to fill out our income tax forms, corporate tax forms, all these different things. Where exactly does the money go? I mean, we put it into the US government and they give us a very general look at where things go. But just to give you an idea, I know where about $2 trillion goes. And this is an interesting. If you take a look and you research it, you'll actually confirm, my numbers. But basically, almost $1 trillion, about $900 billion, goes to defense. $900 billion goes to defense. And I think that's important enough to put down in writing because I think this is really, really important. So I'm going to put it down in writing. So $900 billion dollars goes to defense. Okay, so I mean that's where $900 billion goes. 900 billion, right? Over 1 trillion, $1 trillion, $1 trillion goes to Social Security. So that's what we're talking about. So we have almost $2 trillion every year that goes to two different things, just two: defense and Social Security, Medicare, places that it's supposed to go. I guess basically what happens is it pays out those benefits. This is outlays now. This is what is outlaid from Social Security and from defense. In our budget, we have about $900 billion that goes to defense and about $1 trillion that goes to Social Security. And that's a payout. That's outlay. That's not incoming. So the incoming would be what we give in income tax. And I mean, it's kind of interesting. But so what did I do? I was trying to figure out where to go with these different areas, and I always put in .gov because and I know some people, and I realize this, some people don't trust the government. They don't trust what type of data they have in the government, but I do, and it's only because I've lived that life for around 35 years, defense, and then as a civilian, and then a civilian contractor. So I've spent a lot of time in the U.S. government, and I trust the data that comes out of there. No matter, and it's interesting because most of the data that is not coming from the government comes from the government, and it's you get these .org and .com domains and they put out data on budget, they get it from the government. So if people sit there and say, well, I really trust the .com and .org, I don't trust the .gov, they get the data from the .gov. So it's that's just where it comes from. So I try to go right to the source and I try to get that. So what did I do? Well, where I went was, of all places, was whitehouse.gov, White House, Trump White House.archives.gov. Now, a lot of people, and I realize this, they have everything that the president is automatically associated with evil. I get it. I understand. I understand. You have your opinion. I get it. This is the whitehouse.gov. They get it from the Office of Management and Budget, OMB. OMB is the central focal point for budgetary aspects, especially for presidential budgets. That's, the president gets a budget together, they give it to Congress. Congress has the purse strings. They can approve or disapprove that budget, or they can amend it, and they can edit it, do whatever they want to do with it. So what I did was I went down some of these spreadsheets and I thought, man, this is really, really cool. 1934 to 2025, receipts by source, receipts, outlays, and surpluses. All these different things go into this. So I downloaded them and I put them in Excel. And this is what I came up with. Now, this is huge. This is a good bit of data here. In fact, it's really funny because it has the year 1789 to 1849 for incoming, receipts, and millions of dollars. From 1789 to 1849, we did about $1 billion. Outlays, same. Well, no, just slightly less. So the surplus was about $70 million during those. I think that's all those years. That's all those years. And the same thing here, 1850 to 1900, the same thing. So about 50 years, and the other one is about 60 years. So this is what we're talking about over a 60-year period. This wasn't $1 billion every year. Sorry, folks, it just wasn't like that. So you can sit there and you can figure this thing out. You can just get the old good-fashioned calculator here, and you can go ahead and figure out 1160. Now this is in millions, right? So we're talking, right, a billion one, and we sit back and we go divided by 60. So we're talking about $19 million, about $19 million a year that we're talking about. Good bit of money. I'm sure that these are done in 2017 dollars, whatever you want to call it. So I think they put it all into, they equalize it. They kind of have apples to apples here. And then it goes 1901 all the way to 1918. And then we talk about different receipts. Now, you notice how the receipts jump from 1917 to 1918. So what you have to do is you have to say, when did the U.S. start to collect income taxes? Because, when you get right down to it, it really was it, when did they start all that? So it's interesting to note that according to the IRS, from 1868 until about 1913, 90% of all revenue came from taxes on liquor, beer, wine, and tobacco. In 1872, income tax was repealed, and then in 1894, then they started what they called, they reviewed the income tax, and income tax division within the Bureau of Internal Revenue was created. And then Supreme Court in 1895, Supreme Court ruled the new income tax unconstitutional on the grounds that it was a direct tax and not apportioned among the states on the basis of population. Interesting, right? Income tax division down. Then Taft proposed a constitutional amendment that would give the government the power to tax incomes without apportioning the burden among the states. And then Congress also levied a 1% tax on net corporate incomes of more than $5,000. 1913, Wyoming became 36th and last state need to ratify the 16th Amendment. Boom. 16th Amendment. Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever source derived without apportionment among the several states and without regard to any census or enumeration. So basically 1913. They started to do that. And then the Revenue Act of 1918 raised even greater sums from World War I effort, codified all existing tax laws, and imposed a progressive income tax rate structured of up to 77%. So then it goes from there. Now, I'm reading this, right? It's not, I mean, it's really funny because when we take a look at that, here it is right here, irs.gov, historical highlights of the IRS. It's right here. You can look it up. And it's all the way through all the different aspects until 2003. So you can take a look at that. Now, I have gross domestic product in here for a reason. So I wanted to make sure I because there's a lot of things having to do with this. So let's go back to there we go. So outlays, receipts. There's your outlays, there's your receipts. So there it is all the way through. And I mean, it really, this is actually very, very interesting from the standpoint of taking a look at that. Here's another one. Summary of receipts, outlays, and surpluses or deficits as percentages of GDP. What is GDP? Gross domestic product. Everyone knows what it is, right? Everyone knows what the acronym stands for, but what is it? What is GDP? And I thought, rather than me, attempting to give my opinion on this or whatever it's going to be, I figure I better take a look at it from this standpoint. So there it is. So here it is, the BEA.gov, right? And this is the business, this is United States government, business economic aspects, and gross domestic product. The value of the final goods and services produced in the United States is the gross domestic product. The percentage the GDP grew or shrank from one period to another is an important way for Americans to gauge how their economy is doing. That's it. So, gross domestic product estimates the net GDP for each year and each quarter. And it shows it. Percentage change in GDP dating back to 1930. All right, let's take a look. There's your table. It's downloaded. Let me go ahead and open it up for you. And let's see what this shows. So this is the table we're looking at here. And this is the gross domestic product. We're going to enable editing here. So this is it. So from 1930, you can see GDP in billions of current dollars and then GDP in billions of chained 2017 dollars. And you can see all the different aspects, all the quarters, all of it. Interesting, right? I mean, take a look at this. You can see 1976, 1977, all these areas. I mean, it's pretty cool, really, when you think about it. Right? So you can see the GDP change. So where is it? What's the GDP here? It is, we can go all the way down here and see what it is. So GDP change here, 2020, second quarter really dropped. Then all of a sudden, quarter three, boom, it popped back up again. Let me get this a little bit. There you go. It's a little bit bigger for you. So I mean, you too can download this stuff, and you too can take a look at it. I mean, it is really interesting to be able to take a look at this and be able to see what's going on. So that's the different tables when we talk about budget outlays, budget. I mean, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think at one point I put some. Here we go. So this is individual income taxes. And it's receipts by source, individual income taxes. So again, remember 1934, 35, 36, a lot of things changed from the income tax relationship here. And so I just put it into a quick graph for you. 0, 1934, 100 being 2024. So here we have it in millions of dollars. I think it's in millions of dollars. Yeah, millions of dollars. So here we have in 2024, we collected, and so I always say in millions of dollars. So in millions of dollars, you have 2 million million, which 2 million million is, 10 to the 6, 10 to the 6. You're talking about in millions of dollars. This is, in my estimation, and I'd have to actually go through this, but I think it's about $2 trillion. So they're getting $2 trillion from individual income taxes. Corporate income taxes, they're getting about, well, not getting that much. So they're getting billion, but about $500 billion. So they're gaining about $2.5 trillion. They're spending $2 trillion. Remember, you got to spend $1 trillion on Social Security for benefits, and you have to spend almost $1 trillion on defense. So right there, boom, that's $2 trillion. It's gone. So all these things, you take a look at it and go, whoa, that's that doesn't. I don't think it's going to really add up. But there's all kind of other things. Social insurance and retirement receipts. So these are what they call on budget, off budget. Off budget means that no matter what happens, they got to pay this off. No matter what happens, off budget means that has to get paid off. You got to pay the benefits. You got to pay the benefits for people that are on Social Security. You got to pay the benefits for people on Medicare. You got to pay those. That's just the way it's going to go. So that is, that's the difference between on budget and off budget. And I think that's very important to understand, because if you don't understand that, then there's going to be some issues here. So when we talk about different aspects, and we talk about on budget, off budget, whatever it is, we have to understand what that means, right? We have to understand what it means. So so basically, I looked it up, and this is an old report, but it's it's something that you can take a look at, and it is off budget status of federal entities, right? It's kind of old, but take a look at it, and it shows here. Prior to 1968, the federal budget was represented by 3 competing measures of federal financial activities: administrative budget, national income accounts budget, and the consolidated cash budget. And as you read through it, you'll see some of the history behind that. These federal entities are the Social Security. This was 1999 now. Currently, there are 2 federal agencies off budget. The entities, the Social Security Trust Funds and the Postal Service Fund. Both were initially included in the unified budget beginning in 1969. Congress removed these entities from the budget generally to provide assurance that changes in the Social Security program and operations were not made on the basis of budgetary considerations. So and then the trust funds and everything else. So that is what it means by off budget, on budget, that type of thing. You don't want Social Security to be affected by budgetary concerns, by budgetary aspects, and that's important when you come down to that. And who's that run by? The Office of Management and Budget. So I think these are the types of things that it just goes round and round. Like dadgummit, it's just pretty amazing how it works. And I think what was I doing here? So I'm just gonna right. So this is just one of many. Percent composition of receipts by source. Percent receipts by source as percentage of GDP. So individual income taxes. This is as percentage of GDP. So it's 0.7% of GDP. What is it now? We're going to go 8.4% of GDP. So 8.4% of the gross domestic product is receipted by individual income tax. Notice 2022 is 10.3, a lot, 8.4%. So this is so full of information. I mean, there's so many different things you can take a look at from this standpoint. So what's that mean for me as an income tax payer, right? So I know for a fact that there are my income tax is going to go towards, there's going to be a certain amount that's going to go towards paying off Social Security, paying off defense. In addition to that, there's going to be other, this says receipts outlays, right? So I always want to pay outlays, receipts, outlays, surplus, or deficit. So this is on budget, off budget. So on budget, we're talking about those things that are part of the budgetary aspects. And receipts is going to be 12.7. So GDP in millions of dollars, we're talking about 28 billion dollars in GDP. Oh, in billions of dollars. Okay, so that's a lot. Okay, so $28 trillion, right? So I mean, because when we talk about billions, we're talking about nine zeros, right? So that's 9 zeros added to that sucker. I mean, you add 9 zeros onto that, that's going to be a good bit of money. It's going to be $28 trillion. I mean, billions, trillions, yeah, 28,000 trillions, right? So I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of money. So basically, what's going to happen is 20 trillion. So it's going to be 28. Yeah, so it'll be 28. So about $28 trillion. Yeah. So $28 trillion. That's GDP. I mean, holy mackerel. So receipts 17.1, and then 17.1 billion, and then you got outlays 23 billion. So you have 17 billion, 23 billion, you're down $6 billion. $6 billion here, $0.2 billion here. So you can see that the outlays, are more than the receipts. That's a problem. I mean, you do that in your, but this is what data does. I mean, it can present more questions, and that's where it just goes round and round and round when it goes to, how does that work? How does this all, come together? And all I'm trying to show you is the data that goes along with that. And the interpretation of that data is a whole other show. But this show is basically to show you just a little bit about what we're talking about. And, we're talking about GDP is trillions of dollars. I mean, before it was, in 1930, it was 98 billion. Now it is 28 trillion. So that's, it really just blows my mind sometimes to take a look at this and make it. But this is the budget historical from historical historical government documents. You can get that, and you can get it from here, historical tables. You can download it yourself, take a look at them. This tells you what gross domestic product is. This tells you the historical highlights of the IRS and exactly what happened in certain years. Pretty important. And then off budget type aspects. I know it's dated, but at least it gives you a little bit about what we're talking about from the way of off budget. So all those things. But this one, especially, I'm going to go ahead and put it on a banner for you, and we'll go ahead and put it up there so that at least you can take a look at the different historical tables. Coming up on future data shows, I am currently writing a book on the dissection of data in studies, to show you a study and then to show you bit by bit by bit by bit how to dissect that study to find out if in fact it is a valid study from the standpoint of randomization of objects, events, how the tests come together, all those different aspects. And once that comes to play, and once that is written, and published, I will go ahead and share that with you and show you where you can, in fact, purchase that um, as part of the data show. In the meantime, if you have any questions or you have any type of well, any questions, any suggestions, comments, or anything else, this is the email address. You can certainly email me and tell me exactly what you're thinking. I'm good with that. And understand that data does not always predict things correctly. The only way to do that is to look at the source and to figure out exactly what that source shows and how valid that source is. And that's sometimes an issue and sometimes a problem, but it all works. And that really does it for me for this first data show of the year in 2026. I really hope that it was somewhat informational for you and helps you to direct your research from your data point of view and take a look at the different aspects and understand a little bit about where your income taxes do go. And I think that's pretty important. Rather than putting a pie chart up there or anything else, the actual data is there. You can take it down, you can get into Excel and you can do an insert and make it into a pie chart and pretty much do the same thing that the US government does, except with their data. So on that note, I will say goodbye for now. And please, if there's any questions or any type of issues or things that you want to address on the data show, let me know and I'll be more than happy to do it. And I hope you enjoyed the intro and the music, very beautiful music. And until next time, this is Chris Greco signing off from the data show, wishing you a very, very happy new year.